Chester, Maine, a town of 45 square miles, is located on the west bank of the Penobscot River. The sloping hillside of this riverbank, with its warm southern exposure, naturally became a farming settlement, and thus contributed to the businesses that started across the river in Wynne and Lincoln. Frank Stratton, the earliest pioneer of Chester, came from Albion, Maine in 1823 and made the first clearing on the shore of the Penobscot, opposite the Wynne village. A year later, Moses Babcock settled further down the Penobscot, and within a year came two other Babcocks, James and Jesse. Christopher Jenkins arrived soon after, all within a mile and a half of the Wynne village. The early settlement of Chester was so rapid that it was incorporated as early as 1834. In 1837, there were already 323 people living in the town. Samuel Chesley, one of the early settlers of Chester, was born in Paris, Maine. He is buried here in this small cemetery. In 1831, a schoolhouse was built in the upper end of the town. In 1838, the town raised $150 for schools. You know, at one point, Chester had 6 public schools. Communication and transportation with the eastern side of the river was accomplished by ferries at 3 different locations. The Lincoln Center Ferry, kept by the Lovett family and William Scott, the ferry of Ziba-Burrell near the Wynne-Lincoln line, and Moses Scott's ferry coming out of Estes Mill in Wynne. In 1827, Samuel Chester arrived from Chester, New Hampshire, and gave the same name to the town. He built a large 2-story house in the middle of the town and kept a hotel, started large apple orchards, and became an active businessman, holding many public offices. The southern half of the town settled in later years, but ended up prospering as well as the north due to good land for farming. Before the construction of the military road, contact with the other communities was difficult. Limited supplies was brought up the Penobscot on scows by lumbermen, leaving the greater part of the goods to be transported by horses or oxen on the ice of the Penobscot River in winter. In 1825, Bryce of Bangor and Prescott of Boston built a sawmill and a grist mill on Bedunkiunk Stream, and John Pratt built a shingle mill nearby. Some people of Chester raised their own tobacco and smoked them in their homemade pipes. Dr. Thomas Lindsay came to Chester Township in 1831 with his son Thomas, who was also a physician, and the two began practicing medicine. The young man died soon after, and the older doctor then moved to Lincoln. In 1834, the town voted that no person can have a license to sell wine, rum, or other liquors to be served in stores or shops. Residents devoted themselves to farming and lumbering, and Chester grew into the quiet, quaint town that we know today.